The painting had this streak of crimson, not just color, but fury. It twisted through the canvas like it was bleeding. I stepped closer, trying to trace the artist's anger with my eyes, maybe even feel it. I barely noticed how quiet the gallery had gotten behind me until, "Can you read the sign, boy?" That word, boy, it cracked like a whip behind me. I turned slowly. Security guard, mid-50s, buzz cut, stern face like he'd been waiting to catch someone all morning. His name tag read Lewis, but I already knew his type. "Excuse me?" I asked, swallowing my voice before it shook. "That area's for patrons," he said, louder now. "Not for school tours." I have a pass," I said, reaching into my pocket. "We're on a field trip." "My class is right," he stepped forward. "Don't lie to me. I've seen you types loiter before." The air in the gallery changed. People turned. A tourist couple near the sculpture display leaned away from me like I was diseased. I glanced at the receptionist, blonde hair, red lipstick, but she looked straight down at her desk like she couldn't see me anymore. "I'm not lying," I said, softer now. "I'm with Roosevelt High." Ms. Ray signed the "Don't care what school." "This isn't a youth center," Mr. Lewis snapped. "You don't belong here. Out." My throat tightened. My hands were sweating. The painting behind me, the one I had loved, now just looked like spilled blood. "I didn't touch anything," I murmured. "I was just looking outside." "Now?" he barked out as I turned. Someone behind me laughed. Sharp, wet, ugly. "You people always pushing where you don't belong," a man whispered. "Not even hiding it." I stepped outside. The cold slapped my skin like the air itself agreed. I didn't belong. I tried breathing, one breath. Then another. My phone felt like lead in my hand. I stared at it too long before pressing Nana's name. It rang once, twice, then, "Baby?" My lips trembled. They kicked me out. "What?" "From the museum. Your museum." Silence. Then her voice, velvet, but steel beneath. "Don't move, I'm coming." The call ended. I stood on the concrete steps of the museum, watching the doors. Inside, they probably went back to their paintings, their art, their piece. Me? I stood outside, a boy with a pass. A boy with the wrong skin, but Nana was coming, and I knew something was about to change. The glass doors hissed open like they already knew what was coming. I didn't even have to turn around to recognize the sound of her heels, that sharp, even click like every step she took had a purpose. I felt the shift in the air before. I saw her. "Nana, don't say a word," she said, her voice low but vibrating. "Just stay behind me." She marched past the front desk. The receptionist looked up and immediately blanched, her fingers suddenly frantic on the keyboard like that would save her. "Where is he?" Nana's voice rang out, not loud but heavy, like it didn't need volume to cut deep. "Where is the man who humiliated my grandson?" The receptionist tried to smile. "Ma'am, I think there's been a misunder." "Don't insult me with that word." Her eyes scanned the lobby, cutting through everything soft and fake. "You know exactly who I'm talking about." Mr. Lewis stepped out from the side corridor, straightening his vest like this was all just routine, same smug expression. Same hollow eyes. "Ma'am, I was just following protocol." He didn't have. "You," Nana snapped. "Don't speak." He paused, startled. For the first time, I saw him unsure of himself. "This boy?" she said, stepping aside so they could all see me. "He's mine." The room froze. "And this museum?" She turned fully toward him. "I curate it." Mr. Lewis blinked. "Wait, what?" "Don't stutter," she said calmly. "You heard me." I stood still, heart thudding so hard it echoed in my ears. The director came rushing in from the side hallway like someone had lit a fire under him. "Tall, pale, suit too tight, Mrs. Henderson." He gasped. We weren't informed you." "We're visiting today." "I wasn't visiting," Nana said. "But now I am. Because my grandson, while trying to admire art, was publicly humiliated and removed like he was garbage." "Ma'am, don't ma'am me." "You think if I weren't connected to this place, this would even be a conversation?" The receptionist cleared her throat softly, eyes glued to her monitor. "You," Nana said, pointing to her. You watched it happen, didn't say a word. Just let him get pushed out like he didn't matter. The woman looked up, eyes watery. Now, I didn't know he was what? Nana's voice sharpened. My grandson? A human being? Mr. Lewis shook his head slowly, mouth opening. I thought he was just what, Mr. Lewis? She asked. A thief? A thug? A danger? He didn't answer. Couldn't. You saw his skin and made up a story in your head. You didn't ask. You didn't check. You assumed and you acted. I was doing my job, he muttered. No, she said. You were doing your prejudice. I stood still behind her, chest burning. I wanted to say something. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was hold on to that moment, watching the man who made me feel invisible start to shrink under Nana's gaze. The director shifted awkwardly. Mrs. Henderson, please, let's discuss this calmly. I am calm, she replied. You think this is anger? No, this is restraint. My grandson called me shaking. Outside the museum I've built exhibitions for, where I've trained your docents, where my name is printed in your donor wall. And yet, to your staff, he was just another black kid wandering too close to the paintings. Mr. Lewis swallowed hard. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. She turned to me suddenly. Say something. I blinked. Me? Tell them your voice matters here more than mine. I looked at Mr. Lewis. His eyes weren't smug anymore. You looked at me like I was a problem before I even said a word. I said, my voice cracked. I wasn't touching anything. I was standing still. You never even asked who I was? He stammered. You just saw me and decided I didn't belong. Nana rested her hand on my shoulder. He belongs more than most people in this building. No one spoke. I turned to Mr. Lewis again. You didn't just kick me out of the gallery. You made me feel like I wasn't allowed to exist in a place that's supposed to welcome everyone. I'm sorry, he said, voice almost a whisper. I didn't respond. Nana nodded slowly. You should be. And then she looked at the director. Now, what do you plan to do about it? The room stayed silent for too long. I finally felt seen. Not because they suddenly respected me, but because Nana made it impossible for them not to. The chair squeaked when I sat, glass walls all around us. People outside pretended not to stare, but their glances kept cutting through like whispers behind windows. Mr. Kavanaugh folded his hands over a closed leather folder. Mrs. Price adjusted her scarf like it was choking her. I want to start by saying we're deeply sorry, Mr. Kavanaugh said. No. Nana's voice was calm, cold. Apologies mean nothing without introspection. He blinked. Of course. Of course. That's what we're here for. Mrs. Price nodded too quickly. We take this very seriously. Do you? Nana asked, tilting her head. Or are you serious now that I walked through the front door? I think there's been a misunderstanding. There hasn't, her tone sharpened. My grandson was profiled, publicly humiliated, on the property I've helped build for over 20 years. There's no misunderstanding in that. I'm terribly sorry. But we've spoken with the guard. Spoken? I cut in. Did you ask him why he didn't ask for my name? My ID? Anything before assuming I was trouble? Mr. Kavanaugh cleared his throat. We offered him a suspension, a slap on the wrist, Nana said. Tell me something. How many black kids has he turned away before today? Mrs. Price straightened up. I don't have those numbers, but I assure you, exactly, Nana said. You don't know. Because you didn't care enough to count. There was a pause. I let it stretch. Mrs. Price whispered, we didn't know. I looked at her, held her gaze. You didn't want to. Her lips parted like she was going to protest, but nothing came out. You built this place to showcase stories, I said. But you erased ours before they made it to the door. Mr. Kavanaugh shifted in his seat. We've never had a complaint. Before, I laughed once bitter. Because no one believed us when we tried. Or we got told we were making it about race. Nana placed her hand over mine. Her grip was steady, but her eyes, God, her eyes were fire. You've silenced history in your halls, she said. Let's talk about what else you've erased. Mr. Kavanaugh opened his mouth, then closed it. Tell me, she continued, voice soft but deliberate. How many black artists are currently displayed on your main floor? Mrs. Price stammered. Well, there was a photography series one, Nana said. One in the last 3 years. Silence. You? Put our stories in the back room. You showcase us during Black History Month and then forget us come March. I don't curate the exhibits personally, Mr. Kavanaugh said, palms up, but you approve the budgets. Nana replied. And the boards, I added. The speakers, the school guides. Everything that decides who gets to belong. You. Can't fix this with one apology? Nana said. Not with a suspension. Not with another flyer that says diversity matters. So what would you have us do? Mrs. Price asked, voice cracking a little. Change the system that made this feel normal, Nana said, and stop hiring people who see black skin as a threat, I said. Mr. Kavanaugh finally looked at me. Really looked. I didn't know you. Were her grandson, he said. Would it have mattered if I wasn't? He flinched. That's the real question, isn't it? Outside the glass walls, a tour group passed by, all in matching t-shirts. A little black boy walked at the back, looking tired, eyes dragging across the floor like he didn't belong there either. I watched him for a second. Then I looked back at them. You owe us more than sorry. You're blowing this out of proportion, Ms. Ray said, folding her arms like that made her more right. I blinked at her. Excuse me? She sighed like I was a burden she was tired of carrying. Look, the museum has always supported our school. If we stir this up too much, they might cancel our access. It's about the bigger picture. I stared at her, hard. The bigger picture? Yes, she said, the partnerships. The opportunities, the exposure these kids get. I am these kids. Her lips tightened. I stepped closer. You're asking me to shut up so the next group of students can go get quietly disrespected too? I'm asking you to be smart, strategic. There's a way to handle things. They dragged me out in front of everyone. What's the smart way to handle that? I'm on your side. I really am. No, you're on the side of convenience. That's not the same thing. She paused like she wanted to argue but couldn't find a way to make it sound good. I'll talk to the administration, she muttered, already turning away. I'm sure they'll love that, I said under my breath. She stopped. Don't be sarcastic, Elijah. I walked out before I said something worse. The hallway was loud, but my head was louder. My steps felt heavier than usual, like the floor was resisting me. Jamal was leaning against the lockers by the east stairs, sipping from a crushed Gatorade bottle like nothing mattered. They still trying to make you play nice? I nodded. Ms. Ray said I should keep it quiet. He snorted. Of course she did. White guilt and field trips don't mix. I gave him a look, but he just shrugged. He tossed the empty bottle into the bin without looking. You think that's the first time that guards pulled that crap? My stomach turned. You dealt with him before? Last year. Told me my hoodie looked aggressive. Asked if I had unreported items in my backpack. I was standing in the damn gift shop holding a sketchbook. Why didn't you say anything? He glanced at me. 'Cause I didn't have a Curator, Grandma? That hit harder than I expected. And now that I do, suddenly they care, I muttered. Double quotes. Yeah, crazy how you need pedigree for people to treat you human. We walked down the hallway together. I didn't say anything for a while. I couldn't. My jaw was tight. Everything inside me felt like it was twisting. Jamal bumped his shoulder into mine. You good? No, I said, and I don't want to be. The call slip came during 6th period, Principal Barnes. Of course, I walked into his office, neutral beige walls, diplomas and Black Lives Matter posters framed above a desk that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. He motioned for me to sit. Elijah, he said with his usual fake warmth. How are you holding up? I'm fine, he nodded too slowly. Good, look, I just want to have a quick chat. We've been hearing some chatter around school about the incident at the museum. It happened. Yes, and I understand it was upsetting. I read the report. But I'd like to urge you to consider how we move forward. We? Yes, as a school community. We value equity here. I leaned back in the chair. You want me to let it go? He raised a hand. No, I want you to think critically. Protesting, making public statements, these things can have consequences. I folded my arms. Like losing future funding, right? He didn't answer. I nodded. There it is. I'm just asking you to think before you make this a race issue. My blood went cold. I didn't make it a race issue. They did. He blinked. Once. Twice. I didn't mean it like that. Yeah, you did. Elijah, this isn't helping. It's not supposed to help you. He sat back in his chair like I'd hit him. I stood. Y'all want us to be seen when it looks good in a brochure, not when it's messy. Not when we're angry. That's not true. I stepped toward the door. Tell that to the next kid you asked to keep quiet. And I walked out. For once, I didn't care who saw me slam the door. The stage lights were warm against my face. Not hot, just that kind of steady pressure that reminds you people are watching. Nana sat beside me in her gray suit, hands folded, calm, unbothered, ready to burn the whole room down, politely. I scanned the audience, museum staff, board members, a few teachers, scattered students, and strangers I didn't recognize. Everyone sat too straight, arms crossed, eyes bouncing like they were waiting to see who'd speak first, the mic in. Front of me caught the crackle of my breath, a woman in a floral blouse, reporter badge swinging around her neck, lifted her phone to record. Why now? She asked. I leaned toward the mic. Because racism doesn't wait for permission to speak. There was a stillness after that. The kind that dares you to keep talking or run off stage. I didn't move. Nana didn't either. She looked like she'd already heard the silence before. A man in the back stood. Museum name tag, brown loafers, shaky hands. I've seen it too, he said. Not proud of it, but I've watched some of us follow black kids around. Pretend it's policy. But it's not. Murmurs. I saw one staffer tail a kid through all 3 galleries, he added, just because he had a hoodie on. A woman 3 rows back raised her hand. Was it the same guy who kicked out Elijah? I didn't flinch. My name hit like cold water and warm pride at the same time. Nana answered before I could. Does it matter if it was the same man, or 5 different ones? People shifted in their seats. No one met her eyes. Someone in the crowd coughed. Then another voice, soft, young, maybe middle school age, whispered just loud enough. I stopped coming here after someone told me I didn't look like an art lover. The words hit harder than they should have. Maybe because of how quiet they were, or how familiar. Nana looked at the girl. Come again, sweetheart. The girl sat beside an older woman, her mom probably. Her fingers trembled as she pulled the mic close. They told me art wasn't really for my demographic. That's what they said. Gasps, sharp, real. Someone up front muttered, unbelievable. Nana stood. You believe it, she said, voice low but thick. Believe every word. Because if this is shocking to you, you haven't been paying attention. All eyes went to her. We say diversity in pamphlets, but erase people from spaces like this every day, not with slurs. Not with fists, but with stares. With silence. With policies no one questions. A woman from the education team raised her hand halfway, then dropped it. I've had tour groups where teachers told me to skip the African American art room. Why? Someone asked. They said it made the parents uncomfortable. A hush followed. This one wasn't awkward, it was heavy. Like everyone was holding their breath underwater and finally realized they needed air. I was 12 when I first came here. I said into the mic. I remember standing in front of a sculpture and feeling small. Not because of the art, but because someone stared at me like I didn't belong. No one spoke, and last week, I continued, someone made that feeling real, out loud. In front of everyone, the reporter leaned forward. What do you want to come from all this? I didn't blink. I want you to stop being surprised by your own reflection. Someone across the aisle clapped once, then another. Soon the room was full of clapping that didn't feel rehearsed. Didn't feel polite. It felt necessary. Nana nodded once and stepped forward. She didn't need the mic. Her voice carried on its own. We're not doing this for pity. Or headlines, we're doing this because it's time. A pause. You want to heal this place? Then let it all out. Every truth you've swallowed, every blind eye you've turned, every voice you ignored, speak now. She looked at the crowd. No anger, just that cold certainty that you can't argue with. Let it all out, she said again. Then let's rebuild. And for the first time since I stood in that gallery, I felt the walls start to come down. He walked in like a ghost that didn't belong to the room anymore. I saw him the second he stepped through the back. The way his eyes darted around like they were looking for an exit before they even found the mic. Mr. Lewis, the same stiff walk, same uniform, but no badge this time. Just a name tag that felt like a joke now. I felt my chest tighten. Why is he here? Nana noticed him too. Her fingers twitched in her lap, but her face didn't change. Come, carved from something ancient and unbreakable. I'd like to say something. Mr. Lewis said. His voice was thin, dry, like he hadn't used it in days. No one responded. Someone coughed in the back. Chairs creaked. A few people shifted, waiting to see what this would be. Apology or damage control. He stepped up to the mic and cleared his throat. I didn't mean harm. I sat up straighter. My hands curled into fists under the table. But you caused it, I said, loud enough for the mic to catch it. He blinked at me. Didn't expect a response. He probably thought this would be one of those silent, dramatic confessions where everyone claps at the end and we all go home healed. He took a shaky breath. I was following protocol. I stood. I didn't plan to, but I couldn't sit still while he spun it. Protocol. I said, that's what we're calling it now. He nodded, too fast. We have a policy. Unattended individuals in private exhibits. Protocol never pushed a white kid out for standing near art. Silence. He opened his mouth again. I shook my head. No, go ahead, tell us. Which rule said you could humiliate me in front of strangers? Call me out like I was dangerous? Not ask me a single question before deciding I didn't belong. He rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't know who you were. I laughed, once, loud and bitter. That's the problem, sir. You didn't know? You didn't ask? You assumed? And even if I wasn't her grandson, I pointed at Nana. Her expression was stone. You still wouldn't have seen me. He lowered his head. I see you now. Too late. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry. The apology just hung there, limp, like a balloon already losing air. I didn't answer. I looked at the crowd instead. Faces staring back, quiet, watching, waiting for me to play the part. To accept it, to forgive. Like this was theater, and that's the scene we were in, but I wasn't done. You didn't just embarrass me, I said. You reinforced something. People like me already know that no matter how educated we are, how calm, how polite, how harmless we try to look, we still get treated like suspects. He stayed silent. You humiliated me, sir. And now you want to what? Fix it with a sentence? He glanced at the audience. Avoided my eyes. I've been asked to step away from my post. Nana finally spoke. Good. Everyone turned toward her. That's not punishment, she said. That's a consequence. He shifted on his feet. I'm not the one you need to say that to, I said, nodding toward the front row, that little girl who spoke at the last panel. The one who said someone told her she didn't look like an art lover. She was here. She was watching. Mr. Lewis followed my gaze. He opened his mouth, then shut it. You said you see me now, I said. But do you see her? He looked down again. I'm sorry, he said, softer now. Not to me this time. Not to anyone in particular, just out into the air. Like he was finally hearing himself. The room stayed still, then someone clapped. A single hand, then another. But not for him. I stepped back from the mic. My chest was buzzing. My fingers numb. Mr. Lewis walked off the stage, not fast, not slow. Just small. Nana reached over and took my hand. She didn't squeeze. She didn't need to. We had done what we came to do. Let him speak. Let me answer. I didn't feel better. But I felt heard. And that was more than I expected. I ain't never had my stuff on a wall before. His voice cracked as he stared up at it, a spray of black and crimson over cracked newspaper headlines. His hands shook like he couldn't believe they were his. Like someone might rip the moment? away if he blinked too long. I stood beside him, nodding slow. It's powerful, man. He looked at me like he didn't know how to take the compliment. They always told me I draw too angry. Good, I said. Let it bleed. He let out a short laugh, more like an exhale that got lost halfway. This the first time someone's asked to hear my voice. I wanted to tell him that wasn't okay, that he should have been heard long before this. But I just nodded again, because I knew that feeling too well. The gallery buzzed behind us, not loud, not chaotic. Just enough sound to remind me that we were in a space that used to ignore us. Now our voices were on the walls, our pain in the brushstrokes, our truth in every crooked frame. I walked past a canvas by Layla, the girl who once whispered she didn't look like an art lover. Her painting had no faces, just outlines. Empty silhouettes of black kids fading into white backgrounds. A woman stood in front of it, arms crossed. She tilted her head like she was trying to figure it out. I walked up behind her. She's saying we're not invisible. I said, we've just been erased. The woman turned to me, surprised. Oh, you're Elijah, I said. Curator. Her eyes widened. You're the one who... Yeah, I cut in. That's me. She looked back at the canvas. It's hard to look at. Good. She didn't say anything after that, just nodded and stepped away. I made my way through the exhibit, passing every piece like I was greeting someone I knew. I remembered each artist, their voice, their stammer, the moment they finally looked me in the eye during brainstorming and said, "Do you think it's okay if I talk about this?" Every single time I said, "Talk louder." At the center of the gallery, the largest wall held the words "Unseen Stories" in thick hand-painted strokes. Underneath, a photogrid faces of every teen who contributed, eyes locked on the lens like they were daring someone to tell them they didn't belong here. I stopped in front of it. A little boy clung to his dad's hand nearby, tugging hard. "That's him, Baba. That's the guy from the speech." His dad glanced at me and smiled. "Say hello." The boy hesitated, then waved. "Hi." I crouched a little. "Hey, what's your name?" "Malik." "You like the art?" He nodded. "Fast. I want to make one next time." "You better," I said, fist bumping him. "We need your story too." As they walked off, I felt her behind me before I turned. "Nana, you made this happen," she said. I shrugged. "We all did." She shook her head. "Don't minimize it. You didn't just fight back, you created space." I looked around. Paintings, photographs, poems carved into wood, audio recordings playing softly from tucked speakers. The museum smelled different now, like fresh paint and open doors. They listened. I said, "No," Nana replied. "You made them listen." I didn't know what to say to that. So I let silence stretch between us. Then I whispered, "No more silence." She smiled. "That's your legacy now." I looked back at the wall of faces. Each one of them had been a footnote before this. Not anymore. The doors slid open like they always had, quiet, automatic, impersonal. But today, they didn't feel like they were letting me in. They felt like they were stepping aside. No badge around my neck. No teacher signing me in. Just me, breathing steady, walking like the ground wasn't about to shift beneath me. No permission needed. No eyes following me. No one checking their radio. The new guard stood tall near the welcome desk. Young, brown-skinned, eyes clear. He gave me a nod. "Welcome back." "Sir?" That word hit different. "Sir. Not boy. Not you there. Not do you have a pass, sir." I nodded back quietly. "Thanks." My shoes echoed as I crossed the polished floor. Same walls. Same quiet hum from the climate system. Same smell, varnish and dust. And something faintly floral, but none of it felt the same. I turned right, past the gift shop, down the hallway where everything started. Past the bench where I once stood, frozen, heart pounding. While shame wrapped itself around me like chains, I walked slower now. Not because I was afraid, because I wanted to feel it. The change. The gallery was emptier than I expected. Just a few people, scattered, quiet murmurs. A little girl pointing at a sculpture, like she was seeing the moon for the first time. And there was the painting, the same red streak, tearing through the canvas like blood trapped in oil. The same jagged swirls. The same rage frozen in color, but I didn't flinch this time. I stepped closer. Last time I saw it, I felt like I was stealing something by looking too long. Now I just stood still. Took it in, let it talk to me. Behind me, soft footsteps, a voice, young, curious. Mom, that's him. I didn't turn right away. Not because I didn't hear, because I wanted to see how I felt hearing it. Warm, steady, seen, double quote, say, hi. Sweetheart, the woman whispered. The little boy stepped up beside me. Couldn't have been more than 8, curly hair, big eyes. Hi, he said. I turned, gave him a small smile. Hey. He looked up at me like I was a statue that spoke. You're the guy from the exhibit, right? Yeah, I guess I am. His mom stood a few steps back, watching carefully but not intruding. I liked your story, he said. My teacher showed it to our class. I nodded. That means a lot. I want to be like you when I grow up. That one hit hard. Not in the gut, not like pain. In the heart. Like Grace, I crouched a little, met his eyes. Be better than me. I said, start sooner, speak louder. Don't wait until someone tells you belong. He grinned, missing a front tooth. Okay. I watched him run back to his mom, bubbling with something I knew too well, pride that finally felt safe in its skin. As they walked away, I turned back to the painting one last time. It hadn't changed, but I wasn't the scared kid standing outside, clutching my phone and waiting for someone to believe I mattered. I was the one walking in. Unannounced. Unapologetic. I took one last breath and whispered, I belong. And this time, no one dared to argue.